Support for your public radio station comes from our members and from the Memorial Art Gallery, presenting Picasso and the Progressive Proof, an exhibition featuring 3 lino-cut prints alongside their proofs. Visitors can explore Picasso's process and impact on printmaking. On view now, details at mag.rochester.edu.
From WXXI News, this is Connections. I'm Evan Dawson. Our connection this hour was made just over 3 years ago with the arrival of a new leader for the YMCA of Greater Rochester. Ernest Lamore came with a long history within the YMCA. He grew up going to school, going to church, and going to the Y. He led YMCAs in other states before coming here. And not long after arriving, he helped roll out a 5-year plan for the Y. So, a few years in, how is the Y doing on that plan? What is the role of the YMCA in the community and in the region today? The Y has made a number of changes over the years, adapting to what it sees in the community and a lot of growth. And we're going to talk about where they are, who they serve, where they're going next, and what they want you to know about what the Y is doing. We'll also answer your questions as well on our various platforms this hour. Let me welcome our guests. Ernest Lamore, Ernie, President and CEO of the YMCA of Greater Rochester. Welcome back to the program. Nice to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again.
And Pam Cowan, Chief Experience Officer for the YMCA of Greater Rochester. Nice to see you as well.
Thanks, you too.
So how are you feeling in Rochester a few years into this? Do you feel like a Rochesterian now?
I would say yes. It's hard to believe. It's the start of year 4 for me and my family. We love it here. Great community. I think I shared this with you last time I was here a couple years ago. Just this was a great move for us, right? Terrific community, people who care deeply about the why. And we have a great board, great staff, people who are committed to the mission and are passionate about the work that we do every single day.
Do you get a chance to go to the Y when you're not always working? Do you just get a chance to experience the Y?
I do.
And where do you go?
So I am at both the Shotland Y and at the Eastside YMCA in the mornings, early mornings for my workouts. I have a trainer I use at the Shotland Y in Pittsford, so I'm there a couple mornings, 5:30 to 6:30, enjoying a workout. If I don't do it early in the morning, it's not getting done in the evening. Too many things come up sometimes, meetings with potential donors or volunteers. Or events that come up, but I love using the Y, and my family uses the Y. My daughter's a camp participant, and spending 2 weeks at Camp Corey this summer, so we are a big Y users, that's for sure.
Same question for you, Pam.
Oh, yeah. So my husband is currently training for a tri. So he swims pretty much at any location we have, depending on, where he is during the day and, what he needs to get in. My daughter, who is 14, is in love with Camp Corey. She will be there 3 weeks this summer. She's also a runner, so she goes to Maplewood a ton, West Side. Those are probably the 2 we frequent the most, and Bayview. So that's kind of the triangle of Ys. My son isn't quite old enough to kind of experience the full facility on his own yet. So he goes, when the rest of us are there, and he is also going to Camp Corey and Camp Bayview.
So we're going to dive into what the Y is doing, and I want to let the audience know you can, as always, you can email us. The Connections email address is connections@wxxi.org. You can call the program toll-free, 844-295-TALK, 844-295-8255, 263-WXXI if you call from Rochester, 263-9994. If you're on the YouTube channel for WXXI News, you can join the chat there, and we'll work in your feedback and questions as we go throughout the hour. Now, when we last talked a couple of years ago, you were probably 3 years. I think of 2021 as being sort of post-pandemic, especially when restrictions were lifted and habits were either sort of changing or reemerging, and everyone was affected by the pandemic. 5 years out, and I'm going to start with Pam because you were here before Ernie got here on this. What's the story at the Y 5 years out in terms of attendance, enrollment, membership, et cetera?
Sure. So from a membership perspective, we serve about 106,000 people in our area. So we are well past where we were pre-COVID, and we've had, beautiful growth. When it comes to who we serve and the impact, I would say it continues to grow because we continue to grow. We really found that if we wanted to increase our impact, we had to figure out what the barriers were. And in some cases, they were financial. So about 3 years ago, we decided that we were going to take 2 of our locations and make them neighborhood centers. So the Lewis Street Neighborhood Center and the Thurston Road Neighborhood Center. We now have community membership, which is a free membership, which allows you to utilize those facilities at no cost. We have seen, growth of 4 times what we were seeing in 2021 to where we are now. And a lot of that has to do with what we have inside the walls, but a lot of that has to do with the fact that we remove that barrier. So holistically, I would say we're very strong. In a membership perspective, we're very strong when it comes to camp and programs and that kind of stuff. But what we're trying to do is think about the community as a whole, the whole for all part of the why, and figure out who are the pockets we weren't serving before and how can we figure out to be a little better there.
Where do you want to improve the most?
Great question. I think that we're an aging community. So, our active older adults are a population that we spend a lot of time thinking about and serving. Of the 106,000, 30,000 almost are seniors. So we have to be really creative in what it is we offer them to think about how are we keeping their minds busy, their bodies busy, and how are we fighting that isolation that they feel. So I think there's a lot of room for growth there. And I think there's a ton of room for growth when we think about young kids. We need to figure out different entry points for them and figure out how to keep them involved in the why. It's something I think our whole community thinks about. You usually serve people really well at the beginning. And then when they get to our kids' age, we start to lose their interest. Yeah. So we're trying to figure out, how do we keep the full family engaged?
So Ernie, you've served in different states before coming to Rochester.
That's right.
How are we doing vis-a-vis WISE elsewhere? Are you in touch with your colleagues elsewhere?
I am.
And I mean bounce back from the pandemic and growth. Are we ahead of the curve? Where are we?
We are. That's a great question. So I am involved with a lot of national agendas and committees that I serve on. And as a result, I get to talk to a lot of my peers, some I consider really, really great friends in the past 16 and a half years being in the wine movement. And I would tell you, and it's not to brag, but it's really just to share where the why really stands in this landscape of 747 YMCAs in the country, where here in Rochester, we're the 19th largest Y in the United States. And where we've bounced back tremendously, from COVID, some Ys are still struggling. There have been a few forced mergers and acquisitions that have to take place. Some Ys are still financially trying to figure out what they're going to do, laying staff off, and then cuts in government grants over the last couple years have not helped as well. And so where we look at where our Y is today and the things that we've been able to done and become more innovative in our space, some Ys really cannot do the things that we've been able to do the last couple years.
And we're 19th in the country, not because Rochester is the 19th largest city, but because of the region we serve, how sort of the reach of the Y. Is that it? So
from the amount of people we're serving, total revenue, we are ranked as the 19th largest Y in the country.
So here's what I'll do when feedback comes in, because it's going to sort of be scattered on every Y member has a different question about either their Y or different things going on. So I'll just work it in and while I work through my list here. And Jane in Rochester is first on the phone. Hello, Jane. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm a 40-plus year Y member here in Rochester, and before that, 7 years in Minnesota. I love the Y. We contribute to it financially. I'm also turning 80 in a week or two, so I'm one of your senior folks. Maplewood Y is now my home Y and has been for quite a while since the downtown Y was closed. What I feel that we urgently need at Maplewood is something we used to have, and it's a walking track. There were about 4 weeks this winter when I literally didn't walk because I couldn't walk outside safely. And there are a ton of older folks who are in the same situation as I am in. And it just really pains me that the walking track had to get closed at Maplewood because it wasn't safe, that hasn't been a priority to address and reopen that track. I swim also, but walking does different things for my body than swimming does. I need them both. So please, please, please let me know when, or be honest with me. Yep. Is it realistic to think that we might get a walking track, and within what time period? And if it's not realistic, I need to hear that too.
Okay. Thanks, Jane.
Yeah, happy to take that question on. First of all, Jane, thank you for being such a loyal member to the organization. We need people like you being a part of our culture, our community, and so thank you. And so one of the things that I will share right off the bat, and I appreciate her saying being upfront and honest, because that's the one thing you'll always get with me. I'm going to give you honest feedback, whether it's what you want to hear or not. And so one of the things that we've done over the past year and a half is we've hired a company that we've gone through a study to just look at all of our Ys. Some are aging. We're looking at what needs to happen across the entire footprint, right? We are in 7 counties. And so that means we have YMCA locations and programs that we are providing in each of those counties. And Maplewood, Bayview, Northwest, Y down in Corning. And we look at some of those Ys and think about what has to happen in the next iteration. What is the next phase of, improving those Ys? Thurston Road in the city is another one of those locations that we're also looking at. And so when she's asking about a walking track, I don't see that being as something we're going to do as of, in the near future. But it doesn't mean that we won't prioritize trying to look at doing something in the future. It just will not happen in the near future.
Okay. Anything to add, Pam?
No, I mean, I would add, Jane, I appreciate you being a donor and a longtime supporter. I would say that, people choose their home Y for a reason. Maplewood is a beautiful Y with over 100 years of history, so I know that's why it's your home Y. There are other Ys that do have walking tracks, and the beauty of the Y membership is that you can go to all of them. So not the answer Jane's looking for, but certainly an opportunity to maybe look at a different community and try a different Y.
Well, in Charlotte, I wonder if this is also a member there. Lauren in Charlotte wants to know, does the Y have plans to invest more in city-wise, including another pool or something, she says. So a pool question here.
Well, a pool question. So we do have a Y at Maplewood, James was just referring to, right? Yeah. There's a pool there. And when we look at investment into YMCAs in the city, Thurston Road is one of the facilities that we're going to invest in next. And so I'm not ready to really divulge all the information about what that looks like.
You can break some news right here.
I can't do that right now. We are waiting on a result from a hopefully a donor comes through that we've got a proposal out to, but the board has approved us moving forward and doing something at Thurston Road.
I would also say when it comes to, water, and I think water access in the city, one of the things that we've really been looking at are partners. So who are partners that have access to water that we could bring our expertise to? We have the expertise in lifeguarding and teaching swim lessons and getting the community safe around water. So if the Y doesn't have another pool on the horizon, we are always looking for partners for us to be able to provide that as well.
Okay. Lauren, hope that answers that. Greg emails to say, as a former city kid, I was recently floored when I went to the Pittsford Y. I have never seen a facility like that, and it left me wondering, will the city have something like that to feel proud of? So similar to questions you've had for years now.
Yeah.
What's the short answer for Greg?
The short answer for Greg is totally being honest. No, not something we are going to be doing in the city. Look, when I got here 4 years ago, one of the first things that I heard about was, we built this beautiful new Y in Pittsford and we don't have anything like that in the city. Well, here's what we found out in talking to community members and what their needs are. We heard from folks who were really in need, looking for food access, looking for programs to help support their families, their children. And so I think with Innovation Square being opened up right there in downtown, with what we're doing at Maplewood and providing access to teen programming, to senior programming, with what we're doing at Thurston Road and Lewis Street that Pam sort of alluded to earlier, we are meeting community needs here in the city of Rochester. And so we don't have the ability to build a Shotland YMCA in the city. And things like that also take a long time to come to fruition. The Y in Pittsford, the Shotland Y, was a 15-year process, all right? And dreaming it, figuring out location, trying to raise the funds, right, and awareness. It took a long time. And so I would say never, but as of right now, that is not what we're hearing the community needs are. And how we've been doing some of these things here in the city, we've been partnering with others as well, right, to serve community needs.
So a couple quick points on that, but then I got to get back to our list that we're going to talk about here. I see the phones ringing. Ingrid, I'll get your question next in Fairport. Is there not the same level of demand in this area? So you said we really wouldn't put a Shotland in the city. There's not a demand for it in the city?
No, there really hasn't been. There really hasn't been.
Okay.
And I think the demand is different, based on what we hear. So when we do town halls, which we do, in the Market View Heights area where our Lewis Street neighborhood center is, the top three things that our neighbors and our members are looking for are access to food. They're looking for access to healthcare, and they're looking for, they have a lack of transportation to get to other things. So if you look at Lewis Street, we now have partnerships with Monroe County. Monroe County is bringing in HEAP. They're bringing in, the DMV. They're bringing in all these services that other people can't get to. On a rotating basis. We also have a Higgy machine, which is really a virtual urgent care telemedicine that we do in partnership with the U of R so that people have access to do that. And in partnership with FoodLink, we have a food pantry. And so when we launched that, it was something we knew the community needed. But then when benefits were cut this fall, we realized, wow, this is something people need even more. So we did an association-wide food drive, and we filled that pantry. And it's empty again. So we're starting another one. So I think that, it's not an apples to apples comparison, but we are saying we need to hear about the people we're serving in the community in which our Y is in. And if we're meeting the needs that they have, the Y is successful.
I want to talk more about that partnership with FoodLink coming up here. So just to kind of put a bow on that for you as the CEO, as you said, you came here, you heard a lot of those questions. I'm sure you still get them.
Mm-hmm.
So for the person like Greg, for the person who goes to the Shotland Y and says, this is the Taj Mahal of Ys, and then they go to a Y in the city, and they say, this doesn't feel as attended to, it doesn't feel as special. Is that an unfair optic? Do you understand people feeling like there's an imbalance there?
Yeah, I understand where that's coming from. But also the reality is when you look at YMCAs that we've had in the city and the underutilization that took place, where in the Shotland Y, we're seeing, over 20,000 members participating there. That was definitely not the case in the city.
Well, and you have to remember, too, you can live anywhere to go anywhere. So when you look at the zip codes in which our members come from, it's all points of our counties and our service area. And it's, been an interesting choice to see, where people are choosing to go.
I've got so many emails already here. Janice, I promise get your email in a second. Okay, I'll read Diane's here, and then we got to get back to your phone calls. We're talking to Ernie Lamore and Pam Cowan from the YMCA of Greater Rochester. Ernie is the president and CEO. Pam is the chief experience officer. Diane in Rochester emailed to say, I have a Rock City membership because that's the most I can afford. My home Y is Maplewood. To the guest point about going to another Y, there are only 2 others to choose from, and they are small and don't have pools. So why can't the Y offer discounted passport memberships so people of lower incomes can experience what the suburban Ys have that the city Ys don't?
Yeah, that's a great point. And we do, right? So we have an experience scholarship program in which, we give aid to people who aren't able to pay the full rate. It is a program in which we give, anywhere from $125,000 to $140,000 a month in scholarship for people to do that. So I would encourage anyone to look into that program. And Passport is 100% an option to have a discount on.
That's right. Evan, we would never turn anyone away from an ability to pay to participate in anything that we're doing at the Y. And so Pam's 100% accurate in making that comment for sure.
All right, this is Ingrid next on the phone. Hey, Ingrid, go ahead.
Into that program, and Passport is 100%.
Oh, Ingrid, you got to listen on the phone. I think you're listening to the radio, which has a delay. So we'll get back to Ingrid. I'll grab Jim while we're waiting for Ingrid. Go ahead, Jim, in Rochester. Hi, Jim. Go ahead.
Hey, how you doing? I turned the phone or the radio down,
Yeah,
so
there
I'm
you
not
go.
sure if you can hear me well or not. But I was a member of the downtown YMCA for a long time, and I'm talking over a decade at Carlson, and the building is still there. It's a decent structure, and I know you guys lost the endowment from the Carlson group or whatever, but generalizing that all city people want to go somewhere for some kind of needs, like, it's not like all of us need food or anything like that. Some people just want to work out, and we want the convenience. And the one you have in Innovation Square is a kind of a joke. It's like a hotel gym. And pulling away from Monroe too, it's not. I would never expect you guys to build like a gigantic, big box YMCA in the city. There's no real estate for it, and like you are assuming people wouldn't use it. But why not just keep a facility going that's already going? Like, what is wrong with the superstructure or the structure at Carlson? Why can't you open that back up? I understand that you also closed during the pandemic, but please just elaborate.
Okay, thanks, Jim.
Yeah, happy to elaborate on that. And so when Carlson was open, and I sort of stated earlier, the utilization rate in some of our city facilities were not high. Pam, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the number was around 200 people a month, roughly?
We had just shy of 120 people a day that were utilizing us in the 15 hours we were open.
There you go. All right. And so, we did sell the Metro Center to another nonprofit organization here in the city. They are the owners of the Metro Center now, not us.
I don't even know what's going on there. What's going on there?
They are figuring out what they want to do with it. That's not
but
something
you don't own that anymore.
We no longer own that facility. That's not something we're privy to in terms of where they're going in terms of their direction. But I'm not generalizing. I want to make that clear. I am not generalizing that everyone wants to, have food access or some of the other things that we're doing in our neighborhood centers. But I would say that the Innovation Square is a beautiful facility, state-of-the-art equipment. It has every piece of equipment that we have at some of our other Y locations. E-Gym, the weights. These are beautiful state-of-the-art equipment. And so I want to state that. Maplewood is in the city. It has a pool. It has a basketball court. In fact, we built a beautiful e-gaming center in Maplewood about a year and a half ago, right, to help support and attract more teens and having access to that kind of a facility, right, in Maplewood. And so I think what we're saying is the Y is looking to serve all populations, right? We are doing what we're hearing from communities in terms of what their needs are. We know some have it a little bit better than others. And that's just the reality of it, right? Not generalizing that everyone in the city, this is what they're looking for, but you do have access to other facilities.
Jim, I hope that answers your question. Charlie emails to say, Evan, I cannot overstate the influence the Y has been on my family. Currently, my wife is one of those 5:30 in the morning people at the Shotland Y, and she is grumpy if she misses the session. Our house is within a 10-minute walk to Camp Arrowhead, and our kids literally grew up there, especially the pool in the summer. Camp Corey, good grief. My daughter attended from the minimum age and would cry when we picked her up, even after 3 weeks. Eventually, she became a counselor until the end of college. There, she made lifelong friends who still get together, sometimes at Corey, for the last 10 years. Corey people are Corey for their entire lives, Thank you to the YMCA. That's from Charlie. So,
thank you.
Love
to hear that, right? It's, look, I think that's the other piece too. We have a lot more great stories like that and people who have terrific experiences with us that we need to continue to celebrate. And I think sometimes we don't do a good enough job of bragging on ourselves and the work that we're doing and our staff and our volunteers. the work that they lead in the communities that we're serving. That's what it's all about.
Listen, I get more emails from people who complain about the work that I do than from people who love it. That's the nature of it.
It's the nature of it. You hear the negatives sometimes, and guess what? We don't think we're perfect, by the way, Evan. I think we're always looking at ways to improve and get better. And so when we hear things from our members, we tend to listen and try to fix them.
All right, last couple quick ones, and then we're going to go back to our list of things that are going on now. We've got the team from the YMCA, including the CEO, Ernie Lamore, Pam Cowan, Chief Experience Officer. Ann emailed to ask, please ask your guests how people who don't own cars can access the Shotland Y. Pam?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one. We're not on a bus line, so it's a conversation that will always be ongoing. So, that's really a short answer. The answer is, we can continue to have conversation.
Can you get
will.
a bus line there?
Yeah, I mean, that's not our, it's not
Is
something
that an RTS
that's going
question? Is that
to
somebody
be.
else?
That's an RTS question. And by the way, as Pam alluded to earlier about partnerships, right? We are about purposeful partnerships. And so if there's an opportunity there to work with RTS, to talk to them and to work with the town of Pittsford to figure that out, we would be more than happy to.
Okay. And let's I've got plenty of emails and phone calls we can fit in the second half hour, so don't give up if you're on the phones or if you've emailed. But I want to ask a few things about that are happening now with the Y. They're not only part of the 5-year plan, but part of what's happening now. So Pam briefly mentioned a food pantry, and you're partnering with FoodLink. Mm-hmm. Tell us more about what you're doing.
Sure. I mean, we partner with FoodLink across our entire organization. They help us with our before and after school program, but specifically at Thurston Road, we work with them so that we have a comprehensive food pantry. So the community can come in and not just get pieces for a meal, but they can really get their full grocery list. And so, I think the team has done a great job, both our Lewis Street team and everyone at FoodLink, to think about, what it is we need there and keep it stocked so that we're able to continue to serve.
Anything you want to add there?
Yeah, one of the things that I experienced, and Evan, you asked me earlier if I utilize the Y outside of work. I'm constantly visiting some of our locations, and the last month or so, I've been visiting more of our before and after school sites with our VP of enrichment. And it was great to see in one of our schools here in the city that kids are getting a hot meal. At 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, parents are picking up at 6. Some of these kids have been at school since 7:30 in the morning. And so this partnership with FoodLink is extremely important, and it helps us meet a need.
Yeah, and I think the important thing too is it's not just Lewis Street. So we're doing congregate meals. We do summer meals for kids at Power Scholars, which is school number 8. Mm-hmm. We talked about the before and after school program, and we have the curbside market that goes around. So we're really trying to figure out where is it needed, and figuring out a way with their help to get it where it's needed.
Well, here's another need that you guys are trying to address. More basketball. So I want to ask about Gus Macker. My 14-year-old is an open gym basketball player. He is not a basketball player. He's a baseball player. Mm-hmm. So when there's open gym at Maplewood and, his brother's swimming, he will go in that gym if it's like empty.
Yeah.
But the quality of the play he sees in there, I mean, I've seen from age 8 to 18 in there going like, I cannot believe how good some of the quality of the play is. And so there's a lot of buzz about Gus Macker.
Uh-huh.
What's going on, Ernie?
Well, first of all, the Y, we created basketball. All right, think about that. We created a number of things, volleyball, Father's Day. But we
Father's Day?
Oh yeah, that's
volleyball?
An invention from the Y. We've been around a while. This year, the Y is actually celebrating 175 years in the U.S. And our Y is 172 years old this year. So, but Gus Macker, 50 years, been around a long time. Last time it was here was in 2019. And so we're happy to bring it back in partnership with the Red Wings, the city, and Senator Cooney, who really wanted to see something like this back to bring community together, to give opportunities and an outlet for not just young people, but old people, right? We're just making connections happen. And so June 27th and 28th, we'll be out at ESL Ballpark. We'll have over 200 teams, 3-on-3, teams of fours, ages 5 and up, boys and girls, and all skill levels, Evan. You don't have to be a great player to participate.
But there's
in
going to be some great players.
Oh, I'm certain of that. There will be.
It starts at age 5?
Yeah.
And you're doing it at the Red Wings Park?
We are.
Yeah, we're
ESL
doing it
Ballpark.
in the VIP lot there. So there'll be 20 courts set up in their VIP lot. The beauty of that partnership is that, we get to utilize their concourse and their restrooms and the concessions. And the city's really helping us with so much of it. So, again, when we think about purposeful partnerships and community convening, this is what we're talking about. How are we highlighting the city of Rochester for everybody? We're going to have 200 teams. They're not all going to be from the city of Rochester. They're going to be from all over. And frankly, some people are going to be coming in from out of town.
Oh, yeah.
This is something that, we've been reaching out to people within about a 200-mile radius, who have attended others to draw them in and pull them in. It's a great opportunity, I think, for volunteering. Yeah. It's a great opportunity to just kind of get out and play and see. My little guy's 12. So, or soon to be 12. So I think, he'd love to have a team with his buddies. The fun is that it's really just coming together and having fun.
How do you register? Is it still open?
Yeah, it's open. Yep, it'll be open for another 5 weeks or 6 weeks. So we've got quite some time. But right on our website, you'll see a link for Gus Macker, and you just click on and it's done right there.
And also want to thank Naomi Silver and Dan Mason over at the Red Wings. They've been so supportive of this and wanting to see this happen. And we're just excited. We're looking forward to it. It's going to be a great time.
I'm not surprised to hear that. Dan's the kind of guy who, there's no idea that's out of bounds. Not everything works, but it's like, you got to try everything.
It was so interesting. It was the first name when we started thinking about doing this, and we're like, oh man, where can we host this? Where can we host this? I sent shot a quick message to Dan, and I was like, crazy idea, but what do you think? And he was so receptive, and he said, hey, as long as it fits with our baseball schedule, we're in. It's great.
Last weekend of June. That's Gus Macker.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yep. RochesterYMCA.org. You'll find the information.
All right. After we take this only break, we're going to talk more about where what else is in a 5-year plan. And then, beyond that, I'm curious to know what Ernie sees as the growth of the region to come for a YMCA that they tell us is the 19th largest Y in the country, punching above their weight for a full region. You're hearing from the CEO, Ernie Lamore, President and CEO of the YMCA of Greater Rochester. Pam Cowan, the Chief Experience Officer. We'll come right back on Connections.
Support for your public radio station comes from our members and from Bob Johnson Auto Group, believing an informed public makes for a stronger community. Proud supporter of Connections with Evan Dawson, focused on the news, issues, and trends that shape the lives of listeners in the Rochester and Finger Lakes regions. BobJohnsonAutoGroup.com. And United Way of Greater Rochester and the Finger Lakes, now supporting early childhood literacy through the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, providing books each month to children from birth to age 5 in the city of Rochester and beyond. More at UnitedWayROCFLX.org.
This is Connections. I'm Evan Dawson. Let's try Ingrid again on the phone. Hi, Ingrid. Go ahead.
Hi. Thanks for doing this program.
Sure.
I go to the Y almost every day at Bayview, and I'm very grateful for what it provides for me. I did go to Carlson when I was younger. I was sad I just heard what you were saying about Carlson, that you no longer own that, so there's no hope for that one. I'm a little bit surprised and sad that we would give up on having, it didn't need to be quite as fancy as Shotland, but something in the city. I think it's wonderful to provide things like meals, but exercise is just as important, and the contribution to a healthy lifestyle. I mean, we have such data showing that those two things are so linked, the exercise and the meals, and it seems like maybe we gave up too quickly there. that is not what I originally wanted to ask. So I'm going to ask my questions, which now, after listening to you for quite a while here, while I was waiting, seem much less important. But the first one is personal. We have reduced hours at my YMCA, and I'm told that they were reduced during the COVID epidemic, and I'm wondering why they can't go back to normal. The second question is that now that I'm older, I'm very grateful to get a free membership through Medicare. I understand from employees that the participation of those my age is important to the financial well-being of the Y as a whole. And I'm a little surprised that more isn't geared towards us. Seems to be, we get the 1 day a year, which I'm looking forward to. It's coming right up. But for 2 months in a row, I've looked carefully at the offerings in the stall talks. You'll know what that is.
I do.
And there's one offering for us old people, and it's basically how to stay safe and not fall and die in our homes, stuff like that. Whereas for families and kids, there's all kinds of fun stuff. And I just want y'all to know that some of us are still having plenty of fun, and we would love to do it with other
Absolutely.
friends with the Y.
Yeah.
Ingrid, which is your Y?
It's Bayview, and I
Bayview.
am.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate. I think that all of us, if we want to be responsible, should be using as little gas as possible, especially right now. And it's not, it's a real bummer that Shotland's not on a bus line. But, I mean, realistically, yes, it's wonderful that you offer that we can go to any Y we want, but we should try to go to our closest Y.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For reasons of the environment and the planet. And so I'm very lucky. I feel very fortunate that the Bayview Y is the closest one to me, and I'm there for the pools, and it has the best pools.
Well,
we
Ingrid,
don't have enough.
Yeah.
We don't have enough pools in the Rochester area. We really don't.
All right, let me just jump in. Go, Ingrid, I do appreciate that.
Yeah,
Go ahead, guys.
and I so appreciate it. I mean, I learned to swim at Bayview, so I have a picture on my door of being in the Webster Penfield Post, learning to swim at Bayview. So it's near and dear to my heart. I'm going to go back to a couple things. So, Bayview actually has a lot of different programming, and really across our association, we have a lot of specific programming for active older adults. Mm-hmm. So I'd love to get Ingrid's information offline, because I'd love, I could probably look you up in the system. I'll try to find you, Ingrid, as a Bayview member, because there's a lot of opportunity for you at Bayview, specifically as an active older adult. So I will get you more of that information. But I think that, the original statement about, we still need to have activity, couldn't agree more. At Lewis Street, we have a gym. The gym is full all the time. We're doing basketball and soccer. We tried hockey. So we do senior classes. So we certainly, we certainly don't shy away from it. So at Lewis Street, there is a full gym. There is workout equipment at Thurston Road as well. So absolutely agree holistically, to look at the full package.
Anything you want to add, Ernie?
No, I think Pam said it 100% correct, right? It's not that we are not focusing on that at all. We are, right? Think about the triangle, mind, body, and spirit. So that is the why. So we are focusing on that as well. And to say that we are giving up on a facility in the city is not also 100% accurate. Just look, we always evolve as an organization. I think that's the one thing we've always done in our history. We evolve to meet community needs. And so as things happen, partnerships are formed, we will always examine where we go and where we are and how we're serving.
All right, Robert in Fairport's been waiting. Hey, Robert, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. When the Southeast YMCA, the old YMCA in Pittsburgh by the Erie Canal, was closed in 2019, one of the rumors was that the condition of sale to the church that purchased it was the pool had to be filled in. Pools cost millions of dollars to construct. There's not a lot of pools in Rochester to begin with. We've heard that from other callers today. Can you verify if that's true? And also the Carlson YMCA in the city has a pool. Did that get filled in too?
Go ahead, Ernie, if you want.
Yeah, sure. So first one around Carlson, I am not aware of where they are in that process. Again, we no longer own that building. But in terms of saying there was a condition of sale for the church, I'm not aware of that. I'm not aware of that.
Okay. All right. Robert, thank you. Joe says, I was a YMCA member for 30 years. Last year, the Y and Humana, my supplemental insurer, were unable to come together to support membership for seniors in the Rochester area. Is that correct, first of all?
So insurance through Medicare is what we're talking about. So you've heard some people that have it and some don't. You know, we have contracts with a lot of different providers. We actually don't have contracts directly with any insurance. It's really through a middle provider. So we really don't make those decisions. You know, it's not a decision that's on the Y. It's a decision that's made. And so it is a fact that Humana is not part of the portfolio this year.
Could that change?
It could change. I was just going to say,
change.
it doesn't mean that that does not change in the future.
Okay.
Yeah, Humana, they were in negotiations directly with the third-party provider, not the Y. So that decision did not come from us.
Joe, hope that helps there. Janice emailed wants to talk about the Y's expansion. Says, great for its members, great for income, but maybe not so great for residential areas where they are expanding. Janice says, I live in the Arrowhead neighborhood, which is where?
So Camp Arrowhead is the
Entrance in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it's in. I think it's Powder Mill Park. I don't want to speak incorrectly, but I believe that's the entrance that you can come in off of.
So that's Arrowhead. And Janice says it's been transformed by the ever-growing business and all of the traffic it brings down our residential streets, mostly during the summer months. And Janice goes on to say, we want to meet with the Y. They haven't responded to our request to meet to find out what they are planning to do this summer. We have concerned neighbors, but no one's reached out to us about safety issues. And she says our quiet residential neighborhood is now an appendage of big business, and summer days are now all about how to avoid getting hit by a car instead of enjoying the beauty of summer. That is from Janice.
So, Janet, I'm going to say two things. One, let's grab your information so we can talk.
I can share her email with you.
That'd be
Perfect.
great.
Janice, email me if you're listening.
That'd
and
be great.
if you give me permission, I'll share that with them, and they can reach out to you.
Yeah, but to say we've never responded, that's not true. I met with Bill Smith, town supervisor, as well to discuss this. We shared what we think we can do to help alleviate some of the pressures of what's happening in that community. There's been some things done to try to help support the flow of traffic. But she's right. There is a lot of kids that are participating in camp, which is great. That's what families are in need of, especially during the summer. It's a form of childcare, right? We're helping families stay and support the economy as well. And kids need to be active and supported during the summer months. And so I love what we're doing. There's 550 kids that are at Camp Arrowhead during the summer.
Janice, thank you for that. And speaking of places for kids to go during the summer, I just want to ask you a little bit about not only just Camp Corey, but the summer programs you run, because it's a big part of my heart, and I'm very biased in favor of summer camp. I've got a whole family, and I spent years going to YMCA camp in Chautauqua Lake, and certainly know people at Corey, and there's been so much change over the generations. Parents struggle with sending kids away and not being able to talk to them on their cell phones, and there's every camp has sort of a different rule, it seems, on what to do with technology. But I still feel like sending kids into nature in some way is a valuable thing to do. And I have a fear that the list will continue to grow in the decades to come about these outdoor experiences that are part of the past now. And I want to know just from you guys how your camps are doing, and if you're confident that they're part of not just a 5-year plan, but a much longer-term plan.
100% part of our longer term. Yes, it was something within our 5-year strategic plan. We said we wanted to serve more youth as well, right? We wanted to grow our organization and making sure we can serve more people. And we're well on our way to doing that and meeting some of those needs. We now have an additional day camp in the city, Camp Thunderbird we brought back. So we're serving more kids in the city as well. And so we have 9 day camps now. throughout the 7 counties. We're seeing thousands of children during the summer.
You know, and to talk a little bit more about overnight camp and the nature piece of it, I would tell you we are very much tech free. That is not something that we're negotiating on. And as a parent who has sent both of her children to overnight camp, you know, there's a real, I get it. You know, I get the reality of what it feels like not to have that communication. And I think our teams do a great job because we do something called bunk notes. So you can write back and forth. I think that's a really great blend of being able to like know what they're doing just enough, but to still give them that time to be tech free and to really put every kid on the same playing field. We're also starting something new at our overnight camp at Camp Gorham in the Adirondacks, where this year we're actually have a program where we're encouraging parents and kids to come and stay. So if you're not sure yet, do you know if this is the right fit for you as a parent letting go? Do you know if this is the right fit for a child to go? It's a shortened one, but you know, you can go and they'll both be there. We're not engaging the whole time, but there is a bit of overlap so that you can try it.
My son would never want me to
my
go
daughter
to his
wouldn't
camp.
either. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a need for that.
And probably
Sure.
because, Pam, most of the camp directors I've talked to over the years, including at Corey, have said, yeah, kids may struggle giving up tech for a week or a month or however long they're going. It's the parents.
It's
really
100%
struggle.
the parents.
It's
Yeah,
really a
and
struggle.
so I think we're just constantly looking at what that looks like. But you know, Corey's celebrating 105 years this year. Gorham's over 60 years. It is not just part of our
enrollment
current
is
plan.
good?
Enrollment's good. Yeah, I mean we're consistently looking at, you know, what do we offer that's different? What do we offer that's new? But how do we keep their traditions?
Yep.
Okay, so
Constant improvement.
not in any way the situation where we're going to find out in the next couple of years one of those camps is closing.
No.
Okay. Okay. So within that 5-year plan, then, how do you describe in general how you think you're doing, Ernie, and what else do you want the community to know about what this plan entails?
Yeah, we're really doing well against the plan. We're 3/4 of the way there and achieving some of our goals within that 5-year. You know, we said we wanted to double the amount of people we're serving here in the city of Rochester. We've seen major improvements in that where, you know, Thurston Road, now we have, you know, nearly 1,800 members. You know, once we eliminated the barrier for access, Lewis Street has also increased the amount of folks that they are serving there on a daily basis. I think there's increase in programs that we are providing, just giving people more opportunity and access to what we do in the organization. I see that, you know, our staff are really dedicated to accomplishing a lot of the goals that we've set out. We just entered year 3 of that 5-year strategic plan. So we're doing pretty good, Evan, in terms of where we thought we would be at this point in time.
Pam?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think, you know, if you look at the different pillars of what we're seeking, it's about community, it's about the Y experience, it's about our people, and it's about really the financial sustainability of us. So, you know, we're focused, very focused in all of those areas. You know, Innovation Square might not be what, you know, everyone's seeking, but man, those numbers are, you know, 3 times of what they were. Our membership has grown 3 times what it was 2 years ago. So we're serving the need really everywhere. And we continue to look at, you know, programmatically what's new and what's on the horizon. So we talked about having, you know, these esports labs. We have 2 of them, one at Maplewood, one at Shotland. You know, we built an Airnasium. So we're constantly looking at kind of what's new and what's different.
What's an Airnasium?
Ooh, that's a great question.
So an Airnasium is and you can build it to include a number of different things, right? Some Airnasiums have been built, you know, it's an outdoor structure, right? We added turf, right? So, you know, soccer can be played on it, you know, little light lacrosse could be played on it. Kids are playing flag football on it, doing camp, doing the summer months there. There's been other structures built where basketball can be built. The one we built has turf, and you know it's not only getting used doing summer camp, but also on the weekends by families who are members of the Y and come to enjoy what we offer.
Let me squeeze in one more question. This is Edward in Rochester. He says, is the Y affiliated now with any religious institutions, and what, if anything, changed with that?
Well, the YMCA, Young Men's Christian Association, our mission has never changed. We are still about serving all, regardless of background, religious beliefs. We are a welcoming organization. Our job is to make sure we put Christian principles into practice each and every day by how we treat each other, our neighbors, our friends. I would say that the mission is not changing, and really, we've looked to continue to be there for all, regardless.
So it will be the YMCA, it'll be the Young Men's Christian Association, but that is not an exclusive organization. So
it's not, and
It's not.
I think when you think about what Christian principles are, it's all about our core values.
Correct.
And the Y's core values speak to the inclusion of all and the connection and the bridge building. That's really what we're here for our community.
So in our last 30 seconds, Ernie, when we talk, the next time we talk, a year, 2 years out, wherever you are in your 5-year plan, you'll be near the end of it. You'll be nearing a new 5-year plan.
We will.
You're going to tell me that this 5-year plan really succeeded because what? What's the most important metric that you'll have?
Our people. Our people. People that work alongside with us each and every day. Our volunteers who give so much of their time, talents, and treasures to help support the organization. The amount of people we're serving throughout the 7 counties would have increased as well. And we would have made real impact, influential impact in the lives of everyone.
Well, I do hope you come back and talk about that. And I'm glad that you're here. Thank you for taking the time. And Janice right away emailed me. We're going to send contact information. Ernie and Pam will be in touch with you. We tried to answer as many questions from listeners on the various platforms this hour that we could. We had a lot, and that's great. Thank you to Ernie Lamore, President and CEO of the YMCA of Greater Rochester. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Evan.
Pam Cowan, Chief Experience Officer of the YMCA of Greater Rochester. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Gus Macker is coming up at the end of June. Registration still open. 3-person team starting at age 5, if you're daring enough. Thanks, guys. More connections coming up in a moment.
This program is a production of WXXI Public Radio. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of this station, its staff, management, or underwriters. The broadcast is meant for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or use in another medium without expressed written consent of WXXI is strictly prohibited. Connections with Evan Dawson is available as a podcast. Just click on the Connections link at WXXInews.org.